Stop what you're doing. Put down the computer. Put the screen down. Take the monitor and put it down. You're watching too much Bretflix. I can't keep up with the demand. The supply's not reaching the demand, okay? I'm getting, you name it, anywhere between 10 and 40 views a video. I can't keep up with it. I can't just keep churning these things out. I have to keep the quality. That is the most important part, okay? If I'm getting all those kinds of views, I'm just going to have to hire Bretflix 2 to start doing videos in between all my videos just to keep up. Oh, man. Oh, man. Come on now. You're developing a drinking problem because of it all. But, you know, you guys want it, so I'm here to give it to you. All right, let me talk about a movie. I got a good one. M. Night Shyamalan. How about that? That's always a good way to open up any sort of film discussion, because the opinions on that man they range from he's the worst to he's the best. Not a lot of people on the best part of the spectrum, but they're there, sure. Now, I really want to talk specifically about The Village. You know, now that it's been, almost 15 years since that movie came out, The Village kind of marks a point when Shyamalan stopped being everyone's favorite. You know, before The Village came out, he had, several very successful movies. You know, The Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, Signs. I mean, Unbreakable wasn't nearly as popular as The Sixth Sense or Signs, and Signs wasn't as popular as Sixth Sense. Sixth Sense was huge. I mean, it was like the highest grossing horror film of all time, at least up to that, at least up to that point. It got Oscar nominations, which was rare for horror films. It still is rare for horror films. It was kind of a revelation for, Shyamalan. People are like, whoa, who's this guy? He's amazing. It was kind of revelations for fans of Bruce Willis. It's like, holy crap, that dude can act. I forgot about that. You know, Haley Joel Osment's amazing. It was a big success, and Signs was too. I think Signs was maybe a little bit more mixed, but was still a very successful movie. The Village, though, came out, stopped all that. I mean, Village was hated. And it started a string of movies for him that were more and more hated. The Village came out, was panned. Lady in the Water came out, was panned. What did he follow that with? He followed that with The Last Airbender. That was panned, and I fully understand why that one was panned. That movie does blow. Then what was after that? After Earth came after that one, and people hated that one. But now he's on the rise again. He did The Visit, which I don't really know how many people saw that one. I don't know how popular of a movie that was. The Visit's a really good movie, actually. I think you should see it, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. And then his most recent film, Split, was a smash hit. Everyone saw that movie. It made a buttload of money at the box office. And they're coming out with the sequel to that, maybe next year, year after, whatever, Glass. I think they've actually already started filming it. And I'm really excited for it because I loved Split, and Split is it's a sequel to Unbreakable, and Unbreakable is actually one of my favorite movies of all time. Another video. I get off on tangents sometimes. But The Village, I want to look back at this movie and see, why did people hate it? Is it worth still hating? Is it still as bad as everyone remembers? Now that time has passed and you can reevaluate it through a new lens. Oh, I forgot to mention, he also did The Happening. The Happening, I think, was after Lady in the Water. Also not a very well-liked movie. Anyway, but you can now look at The Village in a new lens. Was this movie, or is this movie, bad? Now, this movie came out when I was 11. I want to say this movie came out in 2004. I could be off by a couple years, give or take. This movie came out when I was 11. I didn't really know who M. Night Shyamalan was. I'd heard the name, but I wasn't sure of the movies affiliated with him. Or maybe this movie came out in 2005. It doesn't matter. I wasn't really sure the movies affiliated with him because he made kind of scarier movies. I was a little kid. I didn't watch a lot of scary movies. So I didn't really have this like expectation for this movie. Now I can imagine though that other people did, because like I said, his 3 movies before that were really popular. Now you hear Shyamalan's making a new movie. It's called The Village, and you look into it, and it's got a huge cast. It's the best cast he's ever worked with. It's one of the greatest ensemble casts you've ever seen. I mean, you have William Hurt, you have Sigourney Weaver, you even have people like Michael Pitt. You have early performances from people who are now stars, not then, like Jesse Eisenberg, Bryce Dallas Howard. Like, it's a huge cast. Like, it's amazing. And so this is kind of like his biggest movie that he's ever. It still is probably his biggest movie he's ever done. But back then you just have to think like, dude, this is Shyamalan. This is his magnum opus. At least that's how I would perceive, fans of him would perceive this movie going into it. Because he now pretty much can make whatever he wants after the success of his films before that. So going into this, you had to think that this had to have been the greatest movie ever. Now, I think that maybe some of the hatred for this movie is kind of like, it has like the Phantom Menace syndrome, where, because like Phantom Menace, you waited 16 years or whatever for another Star Wars movie, so there's just no way it could have lived up to the hype. And so even like if you think the movie's really good, you're still going to be disappointed with it. And I think the same might go for The Village in this kind of context. If you loved his other movies, thought they were great, which I do, and you go into The Village, it's going to feel underwhelming. But now time has passed. Now we can see it just kind of on its own. We can see it with the movies that followed it, you know? We're not going to have these insane expectations. So how does it hold up? How does it hold up to the rest of his filmography? Just how does it stand alone on its own? And I watched it recently, and I don't think it was as bad as I remember it being. Because I saw it as a kid. I didn't really see it in the best scenario. I think I was in Mexico on a cruise, actually, and I watched it on a laptop screen in a cabin on the cruise ship. And I remember thinking that it was just lame. Even then, and like I said, I did not have these expectations, and even I then as a kid thought it was lame. Like, I thought like the first maybe quarter or half of the film was really tense and good, and I was very engaged, but man did it lose steam, and by the very end I was just like, that was dumb. What the heck was that? And so I watched it again recently just to see what I thought. It was something I just kind of threw on. I wasn't planning on doing an episode on it, but I had some thoughts, so I thought I would to share. And I don't think it's as bad as everyone says. And maybe that's because since then he's made The Last Airbender, which is an atrocity of a film. So maybe I'm just comparing it to that sort of standard. Like, for me, that's bad. That's as low as Shyamalan can go. So pretty much anything above that is going to at least be better than he's done. But I like to think I'm thinking about this movie on its own terms. And it is well directed. It is very well shot. You have Roger Deakins as your director of photography, you're going to at least have a good looking movie. And he certainly does. I mean, the scenes, especially like at night of The Village, are gorgeous. It's well directed. The thriller scenes, oh, there's monsters chasing me. Those are extremely well staged. And even though during one of the chase sequences, even though the twist was spoiled, I won't spoil it here, but if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Even though the twist is spoiled and that gets rid of like half of your tension just right off the bat, it's still a pretty well staged scene and got me to be a little nervous, I guess, throughout it. It would have been way better if this scene came before everything was spoiled, but whatever. And it's kind of an interesting movie, interesting concept on its own. You know, it's about a village that has to stay super confined because outside the boundaries of this village there are monsters, and if you break those boundaries, the monsters come and kill you. Now, that can work. If you have someone like M. Night Shyamalan making that movie, that can work. And this movie, I think, really does work when it's sticking to that. You know, when that is what the movie is about. Now, for M. Night Shyamalan, you expect a twist, and this movie has a twist. And the twist comes way before you expect. The twist, I think to defy expectations, he puts the plot twist like a quarter of the way through the movie. And it does surprise you that that's kind of when it happens. I don't know if I should spoil it. It's going to be hard to talk about a lot of things that I could talk about without spoiling things. But there's a twist. Basically makes it so the monsters aren't scary at all. Which I don't think is what he intended. But that is kind of the effect it had, at least on me. So pretty much everything before like that twist happens is really good and really effective. And if that was his movie, I would love it and be like, people are dumb for hating this. But that freaking twist comes, and it's disappointing, and it's anticlimactic, whatever. It's almost saved. It's almost saved. Like I said, that twist comes like earlier in the movie than you would expect. A quarter of the way, maybe a third of the way, maybe half, but it comes way, way early. You expect the twist to be at the very, very end of the movie. And when the twist comes, there's a scene of the village people they're like arguing amongst themselves, like the heads of the village. There's like maybe 10 of them in a big circle. And they're arguing amongst themselves, like, was this the right thing for me to do, is to spoil this? And at least in this scene, it really explains pretty well their motivation for spoiling it and for having things be the way they are. And you have a lot of great actors who are just some of my favorites. They're very high caliber actors, like playing these scenes out. So they acted as well as they could be, and they kind of sell it, you know. It's like, you know, the movie lost all of its tension, but, you know, maybe I'm still on board. And so then you watch the rest of the movie play out, but then there's another twist at the very, very end. And that's when I'm like, you know what, this is dumb. I can't do this movie anymore. Like, it's just, I don't want to just say I hate it because it was out of left field. I just hated it because it was just so preachy and dumb. I couldn't stand it. Even on my second viewing, even when I'm trying to be very forgiving and fair, it still kind of makes me cringe. So basically, just the way I feel about this movie is I just think it's a big mixed bag. Mixed bags of things that work and things that don't work. And I think the things that don't work outweigh the things that do work. Because the things that do work is you do have good performances from a ton of really great actors. You have beautiful photography. You have some pretty good set pieces, like some good, like, thrilling set pieces. You have a good premise initially. You know, it was an interesting idea, and I think M. Night Shyamalan was trying things, was experimenting with story, was trying to defy expectations, trying to give us something a little different. He did do that, and he did it competently. I just don't like what it was. I don't know if I'm explaining this very well, but I don't think this is a very good movie, and I hate to say that because I'm kind of a Shyamalan defender. I will defend Lady in the Water. I think Lady in the Water is a good movie. Let's see, I didn't like The Happening. I really hated Last Airbender. But I didn't think After Earth was that bad either. I thought After Earth was was a fun effects blockbuster. I really liked The Visit, and I really liked Split. And now in recent years, people start to hate on Signs and whatever. And I'm like, no, Signs is excellent. And like I said, Unbreakable is one of my favorite movies of all time. I love Shyamalan. I wanted to really like The Village. And I just really couldn't bring myself to do it. I've been kind of ambiguous about a lot of like the plot details because I don't like to spoil things. See the movie. See this movie. Tell me, do the twists work for you? Were you surprised? Like, I guess that's kind of my question. Is what overall is what do you think The Village is? That's my question for this episode. Like, do you like this film? Why do you like it? Why don't you like it? What do you think of the twists? Did you like the performances? Like I said, even though the first twist kind of ruined the movie, the acting alone in that scene where they're describing their motivation for doing the things as they're doing it was so good that I was willing to forgive it. Like I was basically going from this is a really good movie to like this is okay. Like I would have stayed at that this is okay range. But no. Give me your thoughts. Give me your thoughts on this one. I really want to know what people think in retrospect. Now that it's been almost 15 years. When you go back to this movie, when you go back to The Village, does it work for you now? Maybe it didn't before. Maybe it did. I don't know. Let me know. So, yeah. M. Night Shyamalan's The Village. I would love to do a lot more episodes on Shyamalan because I have a lot to say about pretty much any one of his movies. I love the guy. I think he is genuinely a great filmmaker. I think he has an original voice. I love how visual of a storyteller he is. Maybe not the best writer, but sometimes he gets it right. And when he gets it right, it's truly something special. In closing, let me know what you thought of The Village. Like, subscribe, share this video with everyone you know, I'll say, just everybody. And don't forget that I am now doing a weekly show with Disregarding Henry, a friend of mine on YouTube, who makes great videos on film. So if you have any interest in movies, you need to check out his channel and subscribe. I'm doing stuff with him every week, and I'm trying to be more active on here. I know I've been really slacking. So until then, I'm Bretflix. I'm out. I'm leaving. I'm gonna continue just watching movies. I'll probably play some video games. Do the same.